Life and Teaching of the Masters of the Far East, Chapter 4, Basis of Coming Social Reorganization. 1. In taking up the subject of social reorganization, we will begin with Hawaii and the situation there. There is a great similarity in the thought of the Hawaiian people and our own, especially when brought about by experiences. You can take an Hawaiian anywhere, in the ocean, that you want, and you cannot lose him. Never have they gone out in their canoes, but that there was at least one man in each canoe who could tell where they were as though they had the best compass in the world in that canoe. It was the concern of the others to work the boat and his business to pilot it at all times. They have brought this capacity down through the ages with them. 2. At one time, we took one of the Hawaiians out into the Atlantic Ocean where he had never been before and discovered that this sense of direction was bred in him. He put this man in a boat with sailors who knew nothing of navigation, and he directed them to the Cape Verde Islands, hundreds of miles away. The Hawaiians keep quiet and find a solution readily. They use this quality very definitely. 3. The great inventive capacity of the American mind is the functioning of the same sense. The difference lies chiefly in the field into which it is directed. Also, we are all making use of it to a much larger extent than we realize. When we know how we naturally function and then proceed to consciously work in harmony with ourselves, we will make much progress in every direction. Did you ever note how you yourself very often function in certain ways through an inner sense or hunch or feeling, and then all the reasons develop afterwards, which show the whys and wherefores? Many people try to think it all out first. Then they never do anything but think, for there is no apparent solution for anything until after it has been done. The feeling that it can be done, or that it should be done, or it were better so and so in the first activity is the first activity of this sense, and if one would be still, the rest of the information will come, completing his whole plan of action. Then the intellectual explanation, or the thoughts defining the process, would be readily formulated. The reasoning mind, as we commonly know it, only travels over the same grounds it has previously been over, but reason is never complete until this other sense is taken into account. The new social order will come just as the inventor's ideas come. It will be a flash of revelation, so to speak, and then the mind may put it together and carry it out. Man's description for this new order will be complete only as it is in operation. Reason is descriptive, but this other sense sees and goes beyond reason, opening the way for larger reason. This is not a phase 4. This is not a phase of the superconscious, as many style it, nor is it a phase of the subconscious. It is the power to penetrate into either. With the Hawaiians, it is a perfectly conscious thing. It is brought about by an evolution. It is presented to them, and is worked out through them. When they used to go on foot around the islands, before they had transportation at all, they were drawn to places where they were needed. I have seen 40 or 50 of them go across the island to find that some of their people were in trouble there. Sometimes their friends across the island would come to them. They never missed in those things. They were in constant touch with each other all the time. I have inquired of them, and they think nothing of it. They simply function that way because they have never been given the impression that it is anything but natural. 5. Were the interest of those on one side of the island centered wholly within themselves, they would not be concerned about the needs of those on the other side. They are unified through common interest and are concerned with the welfare of those about them, and it is this interest that makes them sensitive to needs outside their own circle or location. Where there is need among their fellows, they draw this sense of need into themselves through the bond of sympathy, which makes them one, and the needs of one group becomes instantly known by another. Selfishness and self-interest separate us, isolate us from the rest of humanity, and this sense of separateness makes people immune to their needs, thus throwing the social structure out of balance. It is in this way that greater and greater needs develop in one group, while greater and greater abundance develops in another, and the whole social structure is thrown out of balance. This is where war and strife develop. Can you imagine two groups going to war, each striving to meet the needs of the other? Nature abhors the vacuum, and just as violent storms occur between the extreme differences in atmospheric pressure, so do wars develop primarily from extremes in the human status. 6. This faculty of the Hawaiians is mostly memory going back to former generations. They have never been out of it. There are no barriers put up between them and their former lives. They say, it isn't that we have lived in this spot all the time. We see all of these places at all times from one point. We have never been separated from it. It is only necessary to become quiet, and then we know where we want to go. 7. In a sense, this is the same faculty of instinct which the animal uses, but just as the man is a much higher form of being than the animal, so are all his faculties comparatively enlarged. In the animal, it is instinct, but in man it is very much extended in its capacity, call it intuition or spiritual discernment, if you will. The animal has it only to an extent, but the human goes right through. He can see just what he is going to accomplish. The animal returns over the same ground it has traveled. The human being can go to any position without going over the same ground. 8. It cannot be accurately determined to what extent this faculty leads the animal into new fields, but we do know that it is the primary function of this faculty that has paved the way for human advancement in every field of human progress. The only difference between men of great achievement and those who remain in mediocrity is that the great pay little attention to what has been done and what obstacles or apparent reasons may stand in the way of achievement, but devote themselves to contemplating what can or ought to be done. Those who allow their mental and emotional natures to recoil, refusing to let this sense reach out into the undiscovered, destroy their own capabilities, and this keeps them always in the prison house of limitation. But it should be noted that prison is only the recoil or reflex of their own nature. Genius is that which goes on through conditions and circumstances and keeps eternally in the process of expansion and extension of achieving power.